All right, what's up, you guys? I know it's market close. It's not even 2 o'clock yet. I figure I'd get a quick little video out for you guys because, maybe yesterday's was a little bit too late for a lot of you guys to be able to get all my information. I noticed that on YouTube, there was actually only 2 views. And I don't know if one of them was me reviewing it myself. So at the end of the day, I want to make sure as many of you guys get this information and are able to review it with as much time as possible. So I'm going to try to do this a little bit earlier, starting during the week, as that way it's not going to be like 6 or 7 p.m. type of thing, but you guys can converse in the Discord about what you guys hear or what you guys see, and that way we can continue that conversation. Okay, really important. What we got to understand was yesterday was the close of the month. Today is the beginning of a new month. So this one candle right here is actually what the new month is supposed to look like. And we got to understand, like, what are some important things going on right now. The most important thing I want to point out is that our moving averages here did not hold, okay? So you not only had this bounce off of the 200, we broke the 100, we have not held the 50 even, and we're already down below it. But one quick thing to notice is that the candle that we do have today is one that is actually a little bit bullish, if you imagine. It's showing that we rejected these prices down below. Okay, SPY ended up bouncing like I was telling you guys about, and even there was a little bit of downside. We'll show you guys in a moment as we go a little bit closer. On the big picture, though, I do want to point out, now that this 4 has formed, has our 4 come down below and invalidated wave 1? It did. So now our Elliott wave, now it's very likely that we actually are now just going to head down from here, and we can now consider if we maybe will not only just have an ABC pattern that formed, right? Originally it was an ABC pattern that formed. Now we can consider this being potentially our new Elliott wave headed down. Our new Elliott wave headed down, you can see 1, 2, and we're in the middle of 3 is what I believe, okay? Real quick too as well, let's go in here and let's just go a little bit. Oh, real quick. See, we started to curl here, okay? And notice, like I was trying to help you guys recognize, let's draw this here. This is the daily, right? So what I'm gonna do is, specifically these parts are where I'm going with the low. What you notice is you have these little rallies. These, they're not necessarily gonna be huge, right? Even that one, but I would say this is the more conditional one we should look at. So it's showing right now that there is a possibility we're gonna at least a day or 2 pop type of thing, maybe 3 days. And it does coincide with the weekend coming up. With the 3-day weekend, you have the shorts that are actively looking to cover if they possibly can, simply because they would be paying interest throughout those 3 days, which doesn't make sense if you can enjoy your 3-day weekend and not have to worry about the price. Let's go a little bit closer in here as well. Okay, so you have your 1, 2, 3. Let's go real quick. And we were talking about the divergences that were forming yesterday, how there's downward movement here, but this is sloping up. Let me pull this closer. I believe this one wasn't necessarily showing it, but it was very far overextended to the downside. No, this may have formed today. We did have divergence that it technically broke a little bit on the RSI here, right? It went a little bit lower and then it bounced. And then we also did have a bit of our divergence starting to show here in terms of, yes, in terms of our MACD. Okay, let's go closer. What do we expect moving forward? All right, I'm just gonna go into, right? Look at here, the 15-minute one. Now 15 minutes starting to show a little bit too high in terms of my stochastic, all right? And when that does happen, we do look for a bit of relief. What's a good area of relief that we should look for? This green bar on the 15-minute is just ginormous, okay? So it very likely ran up too quickly. you can look back here. If you still think we're bullish, that's a good area for us to bounce and head back up from, okay? And what that would do as well, because keep in mind, we're looking at different time frames. This isn't showing any sort of bearishness of any sort. It's showing we're potentially headed up further. And also on the 1 hour, it's starting to go into bullish territory. So keep that in mind. Or sorry, that was 30-minute. 1 hour was getting close to it for RSI. 30-minute was in bullish territory. We've closed that gap, you know, see, curl up. Here, MACD is starting to potentially give us green impressions, all right? So SPY, you know, what I was trying to say is when those divergences form, it does give us, and you can start to look for where, you know, supply starts to run out, okay? Look at this. In terms of the red volume, even as we get lower and lower, the red volume, there's less and less people ready to sell off, okay? Let's go back into that 15 to show you where we reverted. And if you can start to see with your eyes what is going on with the volume there. There we go. Right. So what we had here, kept going down, right? We were talking yesterday here, and after close, it was already a little bit lower, okay? And we're saying start to expect a bounce. Well, look, we went further, you know, 1, 2, 3, and then hit this 4th time. And we struggled to move around further here. And you can notice which bars break up or break the ranges and which bars move faster. Okay, let's go in here and actually digest this, because I know what I see. Okay, on the 15, you got big giant candle, gap down. All right, big candle, struggled. Smaller candle, small. So first test or second test are giant candles. There's a big spread. People are uncertain. People are fearful. We start to lose, or you start to have buyers come in, because at this point you get this reversal type of candle, right? Indecision type of candle, which ultimately is middle body, good top, good bottom, right? Then you got this rally, you got a little bit more volume, and you bounce back up. So this is showing that you have interest from people at this bottom area down here. They push back down, bears push back down, and bulls step in. Okay, they buy up. Then bears step in, and it takes them longer. Okay, right here, this yellow area took longer than this orange area, which took longer, technically took longer than just this one in terms of the, okay, red, orange, yellow. Then we'll say green was the last attempt to push down again. What happened? We didn't even make it all the way down. We stayed above. And so that's where we would say that's the reversal situation happening, okay? In addition, let's look at volume, okay? Let's make this more deep. I'm going to use a 1 minute so we can actually see even further how this all moved, right? Gotta go toward the bottom. Okay, so this was all today. In the morning, we gapped down, right? Give this a second. Come on. And it should be here. Overnight, it came down very quickly. All right, we're gonna say red over there. Why is this not loading? There we go. Okay, big giant candles, right? Let's take off our average lines. Okay, we're gonna label first drop, second drop, right? You could say this is a third drop, fourth drop, and here's our fifth try, okay? So the first drop, you can see giant candles hits the bottom. You can notice it slow down here, okay? Then the second time it comes down, it takes a little bit longer, if you notice, right? Or it takes, you know, the candles here start to chop up because, you know, you got to, these paper handers are gone, but you got level 2 guys to take care of, right? Then you try to push down again, it doesn't quite make it, okay? You can say 3 and 4 here or together. It just takes longer to try to get people out of their shares. Here, you kind of retest it. You scare off some more, you get a little bit further, but even here, it takes forever too. And once we get out of this zone, these guys are already invested. So this situation, they're not letting it come further back down. Now, I want to make sure here. Okay, so what I'm trying to do right now is I'm trying to get this red bar off the screen so we can now purposefully evaluate all this data down here. So what I'm doing, you see that once I move him off. So we get the big gap down. All right, let's talk about this. Big selling. Do you see how nothing else across here, right? Nothing else across here. Oh, there we go. Nothing else across here even comes remotely close to this amount of volume. So we can start to think about how this very potentially is the beginning of a selling climax, okay? And what that does, right? You get the big buy up over here, okay? So preliminary supply and our trading range, you can imagine, right? And you also have this preliminary supply up here. You have this big range to think about trading it. But the bottom red part here, let me do this. Let's do this is the top end of the range, okay? You see that? The bottom end of the range, you can say, is where we start to buy up. That's going to be the bottom, okay? So it's a series of retests. We test down first. We've got a good amount of supply, a lot of people here, okay? Then we test it again. When we test it again or come back in, you get the big buy up. You got the big buy up. And so this is, you can see, right? Sellers sitting up there, buyers sitting down here. And so now we've got a little field to play on. As it reacts, look at how quickly it reacted from here. Do you see that? This right here. And then as well, okay? And you can imagine too, every time it came down, oh, that's lower already. It came down, it's lower even further. And then even here, as it tries to come down, you start to lose steam right up here. Okay, let's use white, which ultimately is where your preliminary supply. So this is, you know, a part of that trading range where in a Wyckoff situation, this is a very small picture Wyckoff, but this is ultimately your sign of strength, your retest, your buy up, your last point of supply headed up. Let's show you that. It's a very small Wyckoff, but even all the elements are there, guys, okay? It's a tiny little Wyckoff accumulation. It's a 1 minute situation, but the volume and all that, I want you guys to keep in mind, it's identifiable in terms of the way that the price is moving. So I'm gonna make it fit perfectly. Look at this. Okay. So let's draw our eyes to the left here first, okay? What we have here, we'll say this is my preliminary supply, like we said, right? The first bits of selling, first big group of people, right? Then we have our selling climax. You can see that, all right? And the buy up, I was saying this was the first sell off and this was the buy up, right? What we have here is we have a test, we have a spring. Oops, hold on one second. Give me 1 second. And then so from there, you can see this one really a spring, but it did test the bottom part of the range, right? Then what you have here is you have your buy up and last point of supply, and then you can say sign of strength. So even, let me zoom this out further for you. Do you see how it kind of aligns? I know it's not going to be perfect one-to-one, but at the end of the day, you have these very distinct points of movement, right? Now that this is pretty much done though, we'll have to see what it does, because there are indicators that are a bit overextended, and it's not unlikely that it'll come back, retest this before heading further up, if that's what we're about to do. And keep in mind, I'm a little bit bullish going into tomorrow, simply because we do have the possibility of shorts covering before the weekend. When they start to is the big question though, but very likely they'll start to take their profits and move it back up. The big part that I would say that it's going to retest, I would definitely say is going to retest that 50-day moving average on the daily as soon as this decides to load. All right, so keep in mind on the moving averages, if I pulled that up right here, you can see that we're below this yellow. Yellow is at about 400. So I think we're going to potentially test 400 tomorrow, but there's a good chance it'll be a test 400 and come back down to retest the lows that we recently made. Okay, that's what I wanted to talk to you guys about. If you guys have additional questions, let me know. I know we just went over SPY, and also really quickly, just so you guys see, I talked about this yesterday. If the VIX relaxes and goes further down, we should be expecting that the markets would rally. And that's pretty much what I said was, right, today, what we had was, yeah, markets opened up down, but as soon as we broke down below this was where we started to rally. Okay, there was a couple of people that did catch this. If you're persistent, keep up with what I'm trying to post and show you guys. This is how you should be interpreting things when I'm telling you, hey, things are potentially going to bounce. Look at these situations. And also, I've been asking you guys to show me a little bit more of what you see in terms of not only sharing in graduates, but also pointing out what it is in my channel. Use the emojis, use the monocle, use the eyes, use the IC graduates, use the rocket ship, doesn't matter. Just show me what it is that you're noticing. That way I know what it is that's helping you guys in terms of the information that I'm giving you. So hope this is going to be early enough so that the majority of you guys can get a chance to look at things. All right. Okay, chat with you guys soon. Have a good one.